Hi, welcome to Knitting Needles and Stems. I'm Carrie, I'm the host. Today is Friday, June 6th, 2025. I have a couple of announcements. I just want to say thank you for all of you who have been watching my videos. There's about 30 of you that it looks like have been watching it consistently. Thanks a lot for that. And I have 50 subscribers now, so my numbers are growing. So thank you for your continued support. I've set up a Ravelry group on Ravelry called Knitting Needles and Stems. It's been up about 2 weeks and we have 16 members. How exciting is that? And in the group there is a form or a thread that you can sign up to be shouted out, to introduce yourself, and I will mention you on the podcast. And we've had 3 people introduce themselves. Kendra is Canned Knitter. She lives in Houston, Texas. Hi, Kendra. And Susan is Crafty151, and she lives in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And Lee Louise is Susanna from Memphis, Tennessee. So hello to our new listeners, and if you are if you are a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. So what's new? My husband and I went on our trip. We take a trip one weekend every year, kind of to get a break from everything and to kind of celebrate our anniversary. Our anniversary is actually in April, and I'm not able to take off of work then because of the tax season. So we do it a little later in the year, usually at the end of May. So this year we went to the North Shore of Lake Superior. We stayed in the cutest little inn. It's called Thompsonite Inn in Grand Marais, Minnesota. You can find a link in the show notes for that. And it was just the cutest little inn. It's right on Lake Superior. You walk right out the back door and you can go onto their shoreline, which is a rock formation on the shore, and it's really neat to... Me and my husband climbed down in there. A lot of people wouldn't be able to do that, but we're able to, so we did. They have grills available, a sauna. You can sign up for an hour in the sauna overlooking the lake. They offer stuff for s'mores, to make s'mores, and have fire pits with chairs, and it's just a really neat place, so you should totally go and check it out. That's the Thompsonite Inn in Grand Marais, Minnesota. On the way there, on the way and while we were there, we stopped at 2 different yarn stores. The first one was Playing with Yarn in Knife River, Minnesota. This one was not listed on Ravelry. We just happened to see it when we were driving on the Lakeshore Drive on the way to the hotel the first day. So we stopped, and the lady has the nice little yarn shop set up in the garage of her house, so it's really convenient for her. It's a really neat little shop. It has a lot of nice commercial yarns if you're looking for something like that. I did actually pick some yarn up from there, and I'll talk about the yarn more when I get into the project that I'm going to make with it. The other yarn store was in Grand Marais, Minnesota, and it's called Dappled Fern Fibers. They have a lot of more luxury yarns and hand-dyed and different yarns like that. They were all beautiful, and I was squishing them and looking around in there. I didn't end up buying any yarn from there just because I couldn't find anything that I was looking for any of my projects. But it was a very cute little store, and it's right in downtown Grand Marais. So it was in the perfect spot for if you're doing the touristy stuff like we were. And that's about all for what's new. So let's jump right in to works in progress. The first thing that I've been working on is my Musselburgh by Ysolda Teague. For this one, I'm using Knitologie Sheen in the Titmouse colorway. I'm getting really close to the end of my ball here. This is my ball. I think I'm going to end up using all of it, and I might not have enough for it to be a double brimmed hat, but at least it could be one that'll be this color on one side, and then for the other side, I chose Beach Bunny Yarns World Traveler. And this is the Espresso colorway. So I think these two are going to look great. So this one on one side of the hat, this one on the other. If we can fold up the brim, then that'll be really cute on either side. If not, then that'll be okay too. So again, that's the Musselburgh by Ysolda Teague. And the yarn is Knitologie Sheen in the Titmouse colorway and Beach Bunny Yarns World Traveler in the Espresso colorway. The next thing I've been working on, I actually finished the knitting on it on our trip, was my emotional support chicken that I was working on using leftovers from my 2023 Advent kit that I got from Bumblebee Acres Farm. And it's just the cutest little chicken. Look at this. And I used this, that it was fingering weight yarn. And because I used smaller yarn, I used a US 2 needle. And I got this little chicken that I need to put safety eyes on, and I need to sew it up. I got the whole bottom sewn up, but just not the back, so I can stuff it. And this is a pattern by Annette Corsino. And I've made, this is my third emotional support chicken, but I wanted to see what it would look like with a smaller yarn. And I think this is a really good size for an emotional support chicken. And it's actually going to be for my middle daughter. She doesn't know, and I don't think she watches the podcast, so hopefully it'll be a surprise for her. So that's the Emotional Support Chicken by Annette Corsino using my leftover Advent 2023 kit from Bumblebee Acres Farm. I also am always working on bears, and I'm using the Knitting Without Borders pattern, but I was made aware recently that they are only taking colors for Ukraine colors. So I'm going to send these little bears to somebody else. But this is bear number 4 that is in progress. I came up with my own kind of pattern to do in the round using their pattern, and he has the little brown feet. He'll have a brown head, black pants, this shirt. I'm almost done with the sleeves here. And then he'll have the brown head, and I can stuff him, put a little face on him, and he'll be ready to go. So this is a Knitting Without Borders pattern that I'm going to end up sending to a different charity. I just have to find the right one to send it to. Okay, next is a pair of socks. Guess what heel I'm using? The Fish Lips Kiss heel. Yes, it's my favorite, by Socks Therapist. For this one, I am doing helical knitting, or helix knitting, which is a color work technique that gives you a cool effect on your yarn. Let's see, I'm using Sock Obsessions Yarn Resilient Smooth Sock in the Bad Influence colorway. Uru Yarn Unicorn Sock in the Hot Cocoa colorway. And then I have a ball here that I took little balls of leftovers. I used the Russian join and joined them all together. And that's what's making these fun stripes. Made the fun stripes on this first sock. And for helical knitting, you knit with one color part way through the round, then start with another color and knit part way. And I'm using 3 colors, so then I would start with another color and knit the rest of the way around. And every time you come to the color, the new color, you just drop the yarn and grab the new color and knit. Drop the yarn, grab the new color and knit. And it makes kind of subtle stripes because I'm using 2 of the same, and then one is changing colors as I go. So this is the first sock. I'm almost done with the cuff. I'll weight everything. I've used just about half of everything, so hopefully I have enough to finish my second sock, but we'll see when I get there. And if not, I will just add something else to it because it's kind of a scrappy sock. So here's my Fish Lips Kiss heel. And I'm using a 2x2 rib for the top. And that's another leftover yarn. I don't know what company it was from. I promise I'll start making better notes so that in future episodes I'll know all of the yarns that I'm using. So this is just a helical sock using the heel, the Fish Lips Kiss heel by Socks Therapist. And the yarns are Sock Obsession Yarns Resilient Smooth Sock and Bad Influence, Uru Yarns Sock and Hot Cocoa, and other random yarns that I use the Russian join to put together to make stripes. All right, the next thing that I've been working on, we are doing our like I mentioned in the last episode, Knitting in the Loft group is doing their Simply Stranded knit along right now. And the Project a Month group actually chose this pattern as their pattern for June. So it worked out perfect. This is the Go Big or Go Gnome Mittens by Schira. For this one, I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper and Darkest Hour. That's the dark color. And Malabrigo Sock in Terracotta. That's the orange. And a single dye lot, that's all it said on there for the color, is the pink. And I actually switched my dominant hand on these when I switched from the pink to the orange. I can't see that much of a difference, but I do see that the pink stripes down here stand out a little bit more than the orange stripes up here. So that's one of our in the Knitting in the Loft group, the Simply Stranded Knitting Challenge for this summer. Color dominance is one of the things that we're working on. So I thought these would be good for that. I am going to make the pattern that one of the moderators in the group wrote to show color dominance, and that'll show the color dominance a little bit more. But anyway, this is my first mitten. I made the smallest size. This is not going to fit anybody that I know. Even my youngest hands aren't that little anymore. But nobody in our house really wears mittens. We prefer gloves. But this pattern is just too cute. So I'm probably going to end up donating it to some charity or giving it as a gift to somebody. I have the first mitten done except for the thumb. Got to finish that thumb, and then I'll do the second mitten just the same as the first, and that will be done. So that is Go Big or Go Gnome Mittens by Schira using Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper and Darkest Hour and Malabrigo Yarn Sock and Terracotta and a single dye lot. Also continuing to work on my counted cross stitch. It's slowly getting there. I'm thinking maybe instead of just 1 hour a week, I might start working on this one day a week, one evening a week, and that way I'll get a little bit more done at a time. But this is the Day's End by Judy Gibson. I've been working in this little spot for a while. I'm starting to get more of the sky done in there, and more of the deer is done. So I'm thinking I need to start doing it one evening a week instead of just 1 hour a week. But that's my counted cross stitch, Day's End by Judy Gibson. I've also been spinning. I alternate when I'm spinning. One day a week I spin for an hour because my shoulder does not like it when I spin any longer than that. So I will not be spending an evening spinning. So I've been spinning yarn for my husband's sweater. The fiber for that is from a sheep that one of the gentlemen that is a seasonal tax preparer at my office gave me. He has sheep. I gave him I made him take $20 for it because he was just going to give it to me. So I bought a $20 fleece from him. I washed it, I processed it, and I haven't even finished the first skein of yarn for it yet. But once I get it all done, I'm going to make a fisherman's sweater for my husband with my own cable pattern because he wants a unique sweater. The other thing that I've been spinning is Dakota carding and wool, Cormo, BFL, and Firestar in the Carnival colorway. It's white and it has little little blips of different colors, orange and blue and pink. And it's not something that I would normally pick up, but I walked past that one probably 4 or 5 times at Shepherd's Harvest last year, and I had to have it when I was almost done and it was still there. I had to have it. So that's the Dakota Cardigan Wool Carnival colorway in their Cormo, BFL, and Firestar blend. Now let's move on to finished objects. I've already talked about Knitting Without Borders bears that are going to be going to somewhere else, and I have 2 more that I've made. Bear number 2 and bear number 3 are done. These are all made using just leftovers. Mostly I have a lot of Brava left from a blanket from my Precious Moments blanket that I talked about in an earlier episode. But other times if I finish a project, I'll just throw that yarn into my mother bear bag, mark it out of my stash in Ravelry, and it gets made up into little bears for charity. So these are Knitting Without Borders bears that will be going to another charity, because right now Knitting Without Borders is only taking blue and yellow bears. The next thing that I finished is socks for my husband. These are just a rib sock pattern that I made up for him. This is using Patton's Croy socks. Patton's Croy Socks FX in the Midnight colorway. Look at those colors, blue and purple, kind of a dark blue, lighter blue. And for these, I used the Fish Lips Kiss Heel. I'm sure you guessed it. Fish Lips Kiss Heel by Socks Therapist. This pair of socks used every single bit of the 2 skeins of the Patton's Croy FX, Socks FX that I had in my stash. I learned my lesson because they're just long enough for my husband. He likes his socks actually a little bit longer. So next time I buy Patton's Croy to make socks for him, I will be buying 3 skeins instead of 2. So that is the Fish Lips Kiss Heel by Socks Therapist and Socks for My Husband using Patton's Croy Socks FX in the Midnight colorway. The next thing that I finished was for the Saturday Social and the Knitting in the Loft group. This is the Puppy Love by Elaine Fitzpatrick. The pattern is actually for a bib. I made a washcloth. Somehow I started off reading all of the stitches wrong, and so my puppy is actually facing the wrong way. But, who cares? It's a puppy in a heart on a washcloth, and it's adorable. So I used Knit Picks Dishy in the Lilac Mist colorway, and I'm gonna wash it and use it to wash my dishes because I love using Dishy for dishcloths. Again, that's Puppy Love by Elaine Fitzpatrick using Knit Picks Dishy and Lilac Mist. The 4th thing that I finished, or 5th thing that I finished, if I knew how to count, is my Project a Month Knit Along socks. For these, I used my Honey Gold Acres yarn that my daughter bought for me at Shepherd's Harvest in 2024. And I am in love with this colorway. I still have some left. I have to figure out what I'm going to make with it. And I got my new sock blockers here. These are the Katrinkles sock blockers that they sell on the Knit Picks website. They're adjustable. So this size that it's at right now is my size. It also goes out all the way to my husband's size. That's the biggest that it goes, and he has the biggest feet in our house. So these were perfect for what I needed them for. So these are just plain vanilla socks with the Fish Lips Kiss heel. I'm sure you guessed it. It's my favorite heel, unless I am doing a specific pattern that calls for a different heel. That is the one that I go to. And the yarn is Bumblebee Acres in color 2B. She might not name them very well, but she does a magnificent job at dyeing. Just look at those. Just look at those. And the green is a mini from her too, so she dyed that too. And the last thing that I finished is a little gnome. His name, well, I've been calling him Ned. He don't really have a name yet. He's a gift for someone, so they can name him if they would like. It is Gnome, Pun Intended by Schira. He is holding his saw and his little truck that he made with his saw. He is so cute. I mean, look at that hat, the tilted hat, the wrinkly tilted hat. And I don't know what the yarns are that I used for this. I think it's maybe some of the Darkest Hour from the Leading Men Fiber Arts. And this one was also a Leading Men Fiber Arts color that was sent to me in a mini, but when the price tag was peeled off, so was the colorway. So if you recognize that color, let me know what it is. I'm talking to you, Steve, at Leading Men Fiber Arts. Anyway, this is Gnome Pun Intended by Schira, and he is a gift for someone who likes to make little trucks out of wood. So I thought that my 3D printer would be perfect, making the little saw and the little truck to go with him. And that is everything that I have finished. Let's move on to knit-alongs. The first knit-along that I am participating in is the Mama Jess Knits podcast. This knit-along is for summer sock knitting cow. It runs from May 24th to August 31st of 2025. And you can enter your socks, and I think she's going to have prizes. I'm not sure how many or what they'll be, but I've already entered a couple pairs of socks because I finished them within the cow. So jump on over to the Ravelry group or watch her on her YouTube channel, and you can find out more about that knit along. The next cow that I'm participating in is the Project a Month group. Project a Month cow group. For June, we're doing Go Big, Go Big or Go Gnome Mittens by Schira. I did show you my mitten already, so that one is well underway. So jump on over to the Project a Month cow group and join in on those fun mittens. And then you can also double dip in the Knitting in the Loft cow that they're doing right now, the Simply Stranded 2025 Loft Summer Challenge and cow. And that one runs from June 1st to September 1st of 2025. And we do have some pretty good prizes over there. I'm actually the host for the prizes, and we've had some pretty good donations from the members of the group. So you should definitely get over there and join in on that one. That's the Knitting in the Loft group on Ravelry. And the last knit along that I want to talk about is coming up on June 20th. It is in the Yarniacs podcast Ravelry group, and it is the Colors of Fall knit along or weave along or we'll say make along, because you can do anything. You can spin, you can weave, you can crochet, you can knit. Whatever fiber art that you like to do is what you do for that one. And the only requirement is that it has to use one of the colors of fall in one of the palettes from New York or London for the Pantone colors of the year. Not the color of the year, any of the colors of the year for spring, fall, for fall, winter, or spring, summer. Any of the colors. And even if you have to squint to see it, it still counts. So jump on over there. I already have one project planned that I'm going to start on when I'm actually at the Yarniacs Knitting Retreat, and another one that I'm going to be working on later. So that's all of the knit-alongs. let's move on to more out than in. For more out than in this month, for May, I actually bought the yarn at the yarn store on the way to Grand Marais, Minnesota. So I brought in 840 yards into my stash, but because of my projects that I finished, I sent out 956 yards. So I'm still have more out than in for the month, even though I did purchase some yarn. So for the year, I'm at 1,380 yards brought in and 4,226 yards sent out. This is the first year that I've ever stayed ahead and really haven't bought any yarn. That skein, or those skeins that I bought at Playing with Yarn, and I think one other skein is all that I've bought this year. So that's kind of bizarre, but I do have a knitting retreat coming up, like I talked about. We will be visiting a yarn store, and then at the end of the beginning of September, I have Wisconsin sheep and wool. So got to stay strong and only buy what I need. Okay, let's move on to my patterns. The Mystery Spring 2025 pattern is all done. The knit along is all done. The prizes have been sent out, and it's time to reveal what the critter was for this year. First, we have for the knitting pattern, we have Evelyn the elephant. Evelyn has an I-cord tail. She has short row shaping for her trunk and big floppy ears, just like an elephant. I made her using Knit Picks Chroma Bulky in, I don't know what colorway, but I will have it in the show notes. So she has these little feet that hold her up, and she rests with her nose on the ground, just like that. That's Evelyn the elephant, and she is now available in my Ravelry e-store. And her brother, her partner in crime, here is the crochet version. He's a little shy. This is Edward the elephant. He has a chain tail and big floppy ears that cover his eyes because he's a little shy. I decided not to stiffen the ears on mine. Maybe I'll add a wire in there to help them stand up a little bit. But this is Edward. He is the same as Evelyn, just the crocheted version. I like to offer both versions because I think it's fun to include everyone when you do a knit along. So here are Evelyn and Edward in all their glory. And they're both available in my Ravelry e-store. Now, let's move on to gardening. Well, I hope you enjoyed the repotting episode. My daughter kept wanting to talk about other things in gardening, and I guess I should let her. She just turned 14 the other day, so if she wants to talk about it, then I should let her talk about it. Next time I will. We'll be doing some more repotting soon. It's the repotting season. So today I want to talk about the Planta app that I use to keep all my plants alive. No, they are not a sponsor of the show, but this app tells you when to water your plants, tells you when to fertilize your plants, tells you when to get them ready to go inside for the winter and outside for the summer. It helps you diagnose problems with your plants. You can scan your plant and it'll tell you what it thinks the problem is with it. You can email them and ask them questions. It's just a really good app, and every day I have my Planta homework to do to help keep my plants healthy. It suggests what kind of soil you should use when you repot them. It suggests when to repot them, what kind of fertilizer you should use, how much light they should have. It has a light meter where you can you can test how much light they're getting, and it'll let you know if they need more or less. It's just a really great app, and it has helped me tremendously with keeping my house plants alive. It doesn't help so much with the outside plants because the weather depends on those because of the rain, and you would have to go in and mark all of them watered every time it rained, and I think that could work. It would just be a little bit more of a hassle than I want, so I don't really want to use it for my outside plants. So that's all that I have for you today. Until next time, make sure you like and subscribe, tell your friends, and until next time, keep doing what you love. Bye.